Charlotte was sitting on the cold bathroom floor, crying silently, trying not to wake the kids. Her chest burned. Her heart felt like it was trying to escape her body. It was the fourth time that week. Everything around her looked normal, but inside it was a full-blown earthquake. Have you ever felt that way? Like nobody notices, but inside something is screaming. When fear shows up out of nowhere, and you wonder how you're supposed to get through another day. Charlotte couldn't explain it. She just wanted to disappear for a moment. Just wanted everything to stop feeling so intense all the time. And then, right there between tears and panic, something different happened. Thought, just one, came out of nowhere. Lasted 5 seconds. You're safe now. It wasn't a voice. It wasn't magic. But it was real. A whisper inside her. And it made her breathe. She said it again. Not really knowing why. Still afraid. But she said it. 5 seconds later, her chest didn't feel so tight. Her crying didn't feel so suffocating. Something, even if small, started to shift. Maybe you've never told anyone, but you know exactly what she was feeling. Maybe you're also tired of pretending everything's fine. What you're about to hear isn't a magic formula. It's not a quick self-help fix. It's a story, seed of hope. And maybe that's all you needed today. One thought, 5 seconds, and your anxiety starts to loosen its grip. Stay with me till the end, because this story might feel a lot like yours. And maybe, by the end, you'll find your own 5-second thought too. Charlotte had always been known as a strong woman. At least, that's how everyone saw her. Responsible, hardworking, a great mom, good wife, the one who held it all together and looked after everyone else. But no one saw what was going on inside. She'd wake up exhausted, like she hadn't slept at all. She'd sit up in bed, already feeling the weight of the world. Thinking about bills, work, the kids, everything that could go wrong. It was like her mind never shut off. She'd smile at breakfast, but on the inside she was already drained. She'd pretend to be calm, but deep down she always felt like she was about to fall apart. She carried fear like a heavy backpack, every single day with no break. The first panic attack happened at the grocery store. Charlotte was in line, cart full. Out of nowhere, dizziness, cold sweat, racing heart, shaky hands. She thought she was about to faint, or maybe have a heart attack. She rushed out, leaving everything behind. Sat in her car and cried. She had no idea what was happening to her. And that was just the beginning. After that, her life changed. She started avoiding crowded places. Started sleeping poorly, eating worse, overthinking everything. She was scared to go out. Scared to talk. Scared to feel. And the worst part, she started to feel ashamed. Ashamed for feeling that way. For not being able to explain it. For seeming weak. She'd tell herself, "You've always handled everything. Why can't you now?" But it wasn't about strength. It was about pain. A silent scream no one else could hear. Charlotte tried to hide it from everyone. She smiled in photos. Said, "I'm fine at work." But every night when her head hit the pillow, she cried quietly. She felt lost. Like she was stuck in a dark room, feeling her way around for a door. But the more she searched, the more trapped she felt. It was in that dark place that the phrase showed up for the first time. Fragile. Almost unnoticeable. You're safe now. Charlotte didn't know where it came from. But in that moment it was like a small beam of light. Tiny, but enough to show there was a way forward. She still didn't understand what was happening to her. But that thought, that little sentence, kept her from falling apart completely. She was in the same bathroom. Same cold floor. Same silent tears. But that night something felt different. Charlotte felt like she'd hit a wall. Her body trembled. Her chest burned. Everything felt like it was about to break. And then, like a soft whisper in the middle of a storm, the thought came again. You're safe now. She closed her eyes. She didn't know if it was her own mind or God trying to reach her. But she held on to that phrase like a lifeline in the middle of a shipwreck. And she said it again, and again, and again. 5 seconds. That's how long it took for something to shift. It wasn't a cure. It wasn't a miracle. But it was enough for her breathing to slow down. For the floor to feel a little more solid. For her mind to quiet even just a little. Charlotte didn't fully understand what was going on. But there was something about that little sentence that felt bigger than her. It was simple. It was quiet. But it was real. She didn't tell anyone. She kept it to herself, like a precious secret. In the days that followed, when the anxiety came back, she repeated it. "You're safe now." 5 seconds. And with each repetition, something new began to grow. Courage, faith, and this strange feeling that maybe she wasn't as alone as she thought. Charlotte started writing that sentence in a notebook. Then she stuck a post-it on the bathroom mirror. And every time she looked at herself, she'd repeat it in her mind. She didn't know why. But it worked. It was like a tiny safe space inside her, built from words. She still felt fear. She still had anxiety. But now she had a tool, resource, thought. And that thought was starting to change the way she lived. Charlotte didn't become a new person overnight. Her heart still raced in the morning. There were still days when fear crashed over her like a wave. But now, she had an anchor. She started slow. Woke up 5 minutes before the kids. Went to the kitchen, put water on to boil, and sat at the table in silence. There, with her cup in hand, she'd say her thought. "You're safe now." It was a simple ritual. But for those 5 minutes, she could breathe. She felt whole. With time, she realized she needed more thoughts like that. Words that reminded her of the faith she had forgotten for so long. She started writing more phrases in her notebook. "This will pass. I'm bigger than this fear. There's a place of peace inside me. God's taking care of me even when I don't see it." She wasn't sure she was doing it right. But she was being honest. And that was enough. Some nights were still tough. Some days her chest still felt heavy. But something in her had shifted for good. Charlotte started creating little moments of silence throughout her day. On her way to work, she'd put her phone away, watch the sky, trees moving, and she'd quietly repeat her phrases. "I'm safe now." At lunch, instead of rushing, she'd pause for a minute, close her eyes, breathe, and repeat. Those moments didn't change the world outside. But they transformed the world inside. And slowly, what used to feel like chaos turned into care. What was fear became presence. And anxiety didn't scream as loudly anymore. Charlotte learned she didn't have to fight everything. She just had to learn how to be. And in those moments when her body signaled her, tight shoulders, shallow breath, racing mind, she paused. 5 seconds, one thought. And her soul started to come home. Months went by. Charlotte wasn't the same woman who cried in secret on the bathroom floor. There were still hard days, yes. But something inside her had changed for good. She discovered she could walk with anxiety without letting it control her. She discovered that peace didn't come from a perfect life, but from something deeper inside. The phrases she once forced herself to say now came naturally, like old friends. They were like tracks, guiding her thoughts when the chaos tried to creep back in. Charlotte started sharing her story with other women. Church, in group chats, even just texting friends going through hard times. She didn't use fancy words, didn't give textbook advice. She just told the truth. She'd say, "It's not about getting rid of fear. It's about learning to breathe through it." And she'd add, "Sometimes all you need is one thought. For 5 seconds. One Saturday afternoon, her youngest daughter had a meltdown before a big test. Anxious, shaking, scared. Charlotte sat beside her, held her little hands and said, "Let's breathe together. 5 seconds. Close your eyes and think with me. I'm strong. I'm safe now." The little girl listened, breathed, repeated it, and then slowly she smiled. That was the moment Charlotte knew for sure. The words that had once healed her were now helping others heal too. She hadn't beaten anxiety, but she had broken the silence. the isolation, the feeling of being alone in the dark. Now she walked with faith, with lightness, with a thought that followed her everywhere she went. You're safe now. That phrase became her anchor, her silent prayer, her way of coming back home. Every time the world got too heavy, maybe right now you're living through what Charlotte lived. Maybe you're sitting there, heart tight, trying to breathe through the noise in your mind. Maybe no one notices, but inside you're tired. So listen closely. All it takes is one thought, 5 seconds, and your anxiety starts to ease. Not because everything outside changes in an instant, but because you change inside. Pick a phrase that brings you peace. Doesn't have to be perfect, or like Charlotte's, just has to feel real to you. Write that phrase in the comments, not just to share it, but to claim it, to let out what's been needing care inside. And if you want, read the phrases others are sharing too. You'll see you're not alone. You never were. That's the beauty of it. Thought can start small, but it can become a shelter, can become a prayer, can become faith. And on the days when the world feels heavy again, because it will, you'll already know what to do. 5 seconds, one thought, and peace starts to return. If this story spoke to your heart, share it with someone. You might be the 5-second thought someone else needs right now. And if you want to keep walking this path of faith, hope, and fresh starts, there are more stories like this one right here on the channel. Stories that hold you, that strengthen you, that remind you. Your soul just needs a little light to find its way back. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, breathe. You're safe now.